have to actually ask the question, how am I going to secure my cyberspace? And I think that one answer, an important answer, is proof of work, right? And the cyber defense system, which is Bitcoin. If you think of Bitcoin as just money, you're thinking too small. Yes, it's money, and it's truthful money, but the reason Bitcoin is the hardest money in the history of the world is because it has integrity.
Bitcoin has integrity. What's Michael Saylor mean when he says this? Bitcoin cannot be manipulated, it cannot be printed, it cannot be destroyed. If you have it secure in cyberspace, your own cyberspace bank, nobody can take it. Nobody can corrupt it. HODL your Bitcoin, start stacking sats. And there you have it from Michael Saylor, the biggest Bitcoin bull of them all. He's been telling you to buy Bitcoin, to stack sats. Michael Saylor is a billionaire. He's called Apple at $20, and he's been calling Bitcoin since 2020. So if you don't pay attention to what the smart money's doing, then what are you doing? And with that, what's happening, Crypto Crew? Sean's coming back at you with another cryptocurrency video. We have a jam-packed video for you today, so getting straight into it, taking a look at the Bitcoin price chart at the current time it's recording. Bitcoin's coming in at 30.1K, back over 30,000. Will we hold this? This is Bitcoin on the daily charts, and you see the past 2 days we've seen two big green candles. How high will Bitcoin go? As you see, the RSI seems to be a little bit overbought, but we may still have more room to go. Could we see some cooling off? Could Bitcoin come back down and retest some of the levels that was acting as resistance here and flip it to support around that 29.5 level? Will we come and flip that? And will we see a bump and run pattern to a continuation of the upside? If you look at this pattern that Bitcoin is in, you see here that this pattern is an expanding wedge pattern. And you see we come up and come back down, come up, hit our head twice and come back down. If we come back up to this is almost to that $40,000 threshold. Depending on how fast Bitcoin gets up here, this could get very parabolic, very bullish soon. But if we come up and hit our head twice on this and then come back down, you see Bitcoin could come back down and flip that $30,000 resistance back to support. This is actually that resistance where Michael Saylor first bought in at, so keep that in mind. Bitcoin seems very bullish. Now, even though the RSI is overbought, are we going to see, does this mean that we shouldn't buy now? No, because look back here. You see the RSI was extremely overbought here, but look what Bitcoin did. It came back, retraced, put a low in. You see it came back down to that bottom channel and then came back up, stayed there, and also was putting in higher highs. Overbought area here, did a double top, but put in a higher high. The high back here is 28, got stomped out, went up to 31. So keep that in mind. But if we do come up, we could hit the $40,000 threshold, cool off a little bit before we, ramp back up towards that $46,000 to $48,000 target. So definitely bullish for Bitcoin and crypto. Taking a look at this here, we see that Bitcoin dominance as well has been extremely, extremely overbought. Now, does this mean that we're not going to see higher price action? Once again, no, because you see here, we hit our head once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times. Right now we're falling back down, but could we come back up and could we see higher highs, and could Bitcoin just be cooling off a little bit? As you see, we still are putting in a low, higher low. At the current time it's recording, we are still putting in technically a higher low here. Now if we fall below this previous low here, then the trend might change. You see the 64.5 level in the RSI. If we come below that, then we might start to head down a little bit, retest these EMAs before we then have a blast up. But all in all, you just have to wait. You have to wait and be patient. We've been calling this for some time. Bitcoin has broken out of some major resistance. If we zoom out on the charts, looking at the weekly, as you see this here, we've had this already pre-drawn because we've talked about this. This was a major level of resistance around the 48% level, and we even told you that we could come up to this level up here around that 52% level. Now, we did break above this. Will we cool off? Will we get squeezed here before seeing higher price action? Time will definitely tell. As you see, we have put in a peak, a higher peak. So could Bitcoin just keep going higher and higher and higher? As far as this price action, you see we are just stair-stepping our way up. We could come back down and then just keep coming up and up and up until we run into this downwards resistance. So if we run right into this where this intersects, that takes us up another 5 percentage points at 56%. So definitely bullish in Bitcoin. Bitcoin is where you want to be right now. And then some major news, you see BlackRock CEO Larry Fink calls the Bitcoin bottom an index of money laundering. So why are we telling you this? Why are we showing you this? Check the date out. This is Friday, October 13th, Friday the 13th, but back in 2017. So this was over almost 6 years ago. So keep this in mind because this was 6 years ago. Now look how their tunes changed. BlackRock Bitcoin ETF. The wolves enter the henhouse as BlackRock files for a Bitcoin ETF. Mark Yusko, who we're going to hear from here in a second, shares figures of handing over your keys, figuratively and cryptographically, to institutions. So are you going to let this guy hold your crypto keys for you? We don't suggest that. Bitcoin bros think you should be your own bank, be your own self-sovereignty. Don't rely on anybody else. Don't trust any third party. Let's hear from Mark Yusko. If you want to hear more from Mark, you can check him out on Twitter at Mark Yusko. But Mark's telling us how Bitcoin is becoming that base layer of money, so you don't want to miss this clip.
I think Bitcoin will eventually become the base layer of money. It will displace gold because it's more portable and more divisible. Gold is fine. I mean, gold is great, right? But if I had a bar here, right, and I wanted to break it in half, couldn't do it, right? I'm not that strong. I couldn't break it in half. And even if I could break it in half, and I wanted to send you half of it, I couldn't stuff it into my computer and make it go. In fact, all the gold in the world fits in 2 Olympic-sized swimming pools. All the Bitcoin in the world fits right here. What's the monetary value of gold? 5 trillion. There's 10 trillion of gold, 5 trillion is monetary value, the rest is jewelry and chalices. That 5 trillion, up from kind of where we are, that's a 10x from here. So that's about 200K per coin. If we then started the assault on global M2, which is about, coming up on 100 trillion, could it go into the 7 digits over time per unit? Yeah, but we probably won't get there because eventually we're going to go to Satoshis, right? There are 100 million Satoshis per Bitcoin. So there's 2.1 quadrillion Satoshis in the world. That's why on my Twitter handle, I have hashtag 2.1 quadrillion. And ultimately, I think we'll talk about Satoshis instead of Bitcoin because it's a better unit of measure for monetary value. I believe the 4-year cycle is still intact. I'm actually on record saying this week, the 15th, is the equinox, where we go from spring to summer. It's usually about 10 months in advance of the halving next April. And, the seasons do last about 12, 13, 14 months, depending on which season. Summer and spring are kind of different, right? People hear all these terms and, crypto winter's easy. Things go down and they go down a lot. And crypto fall is the time when things go parabolic. Now, that's not what normally people talk about. They think that's crypto summer. No, crypto summer is the period leading up to the fall, which is in advance of the winter. It's actually pretty volatile, but upward tilt a little bit, but not a lot of movement. Spring, really volatile and like a roller coaster. You end up in the same place, right? You go up and down and up and down and up and down, you end up in the same place. I will argue that crypto winter ended June 15th last year. Crypto spring will end, June 15th this week. And then we'll be in crypto summer, probably through June of next year. And then, we go into fall, and crypto fall is where the parabolic move happens. Why does the parabolic move happen? Well, again, this is the genius of the halving. The halving creates price movement because the price has to adjust to reward the miners, and price movement attracts interest.